Hi, Rick the Landscaper here. I'm doing a video on retaining walls. So this is an overview of a garden, 5 meters wide by 10 meters long. This is looking from above, and this is looking from the side. So if you might just have a grassy slope at the back of your house, something like this, and then this is your house. So what you can do is use a retaining wall to get the most flat, usable space out of your garden. Now, they're not super expensive to do if you do them yourself. They are expensive to do if you get someone in to do it because there's quite a lot of work involved. But if you're willing to do the back work yourself, then you will save a ton of money. Right, here we go. At the back of your house, you probably want, rather than a slope, you probably want a nice flat area like this. So if this is 10 meters long, you want maybe a 3 meter wide patio. So that means the patio is going to be down in here. So a third patio, a third lawn, like we've talked about before. So what you want to do is build yourself a retaining wall in here, something like this. Okay, so then you can take this soil and put it into here and then flatten this off so it's nice and level. And then down here you have a level patio. Yeah, so what you need to do to build this wall, let's say this wall is a meter tall, 1 meter, it needs to be something like 200 mil thick. That's roughly the width of a breeze block as it happens. So the first thing you need to do is clear this area out and actually dig down, probably about a foot down, maybe a little bit more than a foot, 400 mil down and 400 mil wide, let's say. Okay, and you dig this out and you chuck all this waste up here in a pile, right? You dig out your footing, you fill that with concrete. So you're going to have a dug hole and you're going to fill this all with concrete in here, okay? Then down here, what I would do is fill up, put a membrane down and fill all of this with sculpings and compact it ready for a patio. Plus it's a nice clean area to work off of. You can stack your blocks in here like this. Put stacks like that so you can fit a wheelbarrow in between. Something like that. Make it really nicely laid out so it's convenient to build. So your wall's going to need to, if it's a meter high, that'd be 10 blocks high because each block is about 100 mil thick. Laid on its flat. So you lay the blocks like this on their flat. So blocks laid like this, 1 meter high, will be a good enough retaining wall. Sorry, the footing needs to be a little bit bigger than it looks on there. You never want the footing in line with the edge of the wall like this. You want it to be in the middle. So then you build your wall out of blocks on the flat up to a meter high. Then you can backfill this area. Then you can just put turf on here or seed, or you can gravel it, or just make a usable space. Obviously, you need steps up here somewhere. You might put a set of steps in like this over here to get up the side. But then you've got a nice area here for entertaining, and you've got a nice patio here as well. Two flat areas. Now a wall like this, if it's 5 meters wide and blocks are approximately half a meter long each, and they're a little bit less. So that's 10. It's 10 blocks long, and it's 10 blocks high. So that means you need 100 blocks, and blocks are about £1.50 each. So the blocks are going to cost you about 150 quid. Now you might need to, you've got more blocks to go in here on maybe a return on the side like this, but for the sake of argument, let's just call it 150 quid. You need some concrete in the bottom, probably about a cube of concrete, which may cost you something like £300. And also you're going to need sand and cement. Let's just put another 250 quid for sand and cement there. But the labor on a wall like this would be, crikey, to dig it out and build that wall. You probably do that 2 guys in probably 2 or 3 days. It's going to cost, it would probably cost about £1,000 roughly. Depends where you are in the country. I'm just spitballing numbers here. It maybe cost you £1,000 in labor. And if you're clever with this and you put all your waste at the top, then you're not going to need to get rid of anything in skips. And that would take a couple of skips, and they're getting up to about 400 quid each. So you got an 1,800 quid saving there in labor if you do it yourself, DIY, and you've just got to pay for these materials here. So it's a really good way of maximizing space in your garden. And if you can get out there with a shovel and lay the blocks yourself, it doesn't have to be pretty because you can put Terraline on here, so it's not got to be perfect. You can clad it with wood on the front of there and put a nice slab on the top, and you can make something quite attractive fairly quick and quite cheap. And you can do this yourself quite easily. If you've got any more questions, please let me know, and tell me what you think of the video.